Hey everyone, what's up? This is Dr. Charlie PT. Hope you're doing well. And it's getting a little dark here, so I apologize if the video quality's not that great. But in this video, I want to help you kind of separate time from treatment effect. Time effect from treatment effect. Now, what does that mean? Have you ever wondered, man, I just paid for all those decompression visits, and yeah, it felt good when I was on it, but I wonder if I would have just gotten better on my own. You ever wonder that? Well, if I don't do this, then maybe I'll just get better on my own. Or chances are you probably bought into different treatments and you're wondering like, well, I think that treatment helped, but maybe it was just time. And so how do you separate? How do we separate? How do I separate when I'm working with people, this time versus treatment effect? Let's talk about it real quick. My name is Dr. Charlie PT. I'm my orthopedic board specialty. I teach people all around the world with back, butt, and sciatica problems how to fix themselves naturally using the power of their mind and movement as medicine. By the way, if you're wondering what the heck is going on, what's causing your back, butt, or sciatica problem, feel free to check out my DIY diagnostic guide. I'll link it above. My entire kind of algorithm for figuring out the most likely source of your pain. All right, so again, case in point, Charlie, I paid for decompression, 20 visits, and they say around 16 visits. Well, that's when I'll start to notice the effect, and that's when I'll start to get relief. But how do I know that time just didn't get me better? Did I just waste all that money? It doesn't take time for the right treatment to work, but it may take time to find the right treatment. It doesn't take time for the right treatment to work. Oh, do this thing and maybe one day it'll get better. But it may take time to find the right treatment. And so here's what I want you to think about, all right? Time is something you cannot stop, right? I think we can all agree upon that. Something that we can't exactly hit the stop button on. And so when you're getting treatment, I'll use decompression, for example, because it's a very common one. People are sold these packages of 20 visits and they're told, hey, 16 visits in, that's when you're gonna start to feel better. What you need to do is you need to isolate the variables. So you've got treatment and you've got time. So you should see an immediate change or an immediate improvement in your movement experience with any given treatment that you try to prove that it works versus just time. So for example, let's just say you had back pain for 6 months. You isolate the treatment effect by finding something that is yucky, maybe a certain movement with your leg, with your back, with your hip. You get on the treatment table, you do 10 minutes of decompression or whatever it is, you get off, and then you immediately retest that thing which was yucky. If you've had pain for 6 months and it hasn't been getting better, hasn't been getting better, and then all of a sudden, bam, I do this thing, ow. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I have this input, this treatment input. And then I get off the table and I retest that thing and, whew, that's way better. And guess what? That's an immediate change, and it tells you the chances of it being time, being that you had pain for 6 months, let's just say, and 5 minutes made an immediate change, the chances of that being time, making the difference, probably not very high. But let's just say that in the case of decompression, it's gonna take 15 visits to get better, Dr. Charlie. So you go in session 1, of course, nobody tests to see if you're actually better. They just say, well, it's gonna take 15 visits, and you just buy into it. Because it's the DRX 9000. It's this super high-tech machine. It doesn't teach you anything about what you need to do at home, but by the way, it's very sexy, all right? Treatment 1, no better. Treatment 2, no better. Treatment 3, no better. Treatment 4, no better. It's a pretty cool house. I like those lights. Treatment 5, no better. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, still no better. 0% change, no better, times however many visits that you want to do decompression, or you want to do any treatment, equals what percent change, right? Or what percent improvement. So if you do a treatment and it makes you no better, it's gonna take 15 visits to see a change with decompression, Charlie. So visits 0 through 15, 0 change. I'm no better after decompression episode or treatment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 0% change times however many treatments that you want to keep doing that same thing which made you no better, 0% better, times 10 decompression sessions, times 15, times 20, times 30. 0% times that number of sessions equals what percent better? 0% better. 0 times any number of times you want to go receive a certain treatment equals 0% change, 0% better. And so why am I saying this? Because let's just say you go 20 visit package of decompression, and at visit 17 you start to feel better. Well, the decompression is finally working. No, it was time. It was time. Now, how can I say it with such confidence? Decompression is the control, if you will. It's the unchanged variable. Decompression, decompression. You go on the same exact decompression table, sessions 0 through 16, and you see no change. 0% better times however many treatments, 16 equals 0% better. Then at session 17, you're like, oh, this is working. How is it possible it's something that made 0% better across now 16 sessions all of a sudden started working session 17? It doesn't make any sense. That's because it wasn't the decompression. Decompression is the element, again, the control that stayed exactly the same. Same. Decompression, treatment, input, no better, no better, no better, no better, no better, no better. What was the variable that was changing the entire time? Not the treatment, not the decompression. You went on the same table for the same amount of time, to the same place, and it didn't help until visit 17. Well, you're now 17 weeks in, 17 days in, 17 months in to the treatment. And so the only variable that changed was time. Interesting. So this is what happens when people go see a chiro, for example. Right? Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. Oh, don't worry. You're just going to have to come. It usually takes like months for this to work. And so we're just going to keep adjusting your spine, keep adjusting your spine. So you're telling me you did this. It didn't work. I didn't feel any better. And if I keep doing something, it results in 0% improvement. For another 3 months, it's going to somehow equal something other than 0% improvement? I'm going to feel better magically? No, that defies basic logic and math. 0 times X, whatever that X number of treatments that you want to go for or pay for, equals 0% better. It's just logic. It's just math. Basic math. I'm not very good at math, but I get that. And so the only variable that changed within those 20 sessions was time. The fact that time was going by. Treatment didn't change. Time was the only change variable. And so if you want to separate time from the treatment effect, you need to see an immediate change, an immediate improvement in your pain experience, in your movement experience with any given intervention. How can I be so confident that an exercise works? Because it works immediately in the moment. If I give someone something, let's just say, I don't know, I have moved their hip a bunch of different, like in one way, right? That's the exercise. They're going to move their hip in this way. Again, I'm making this up, but just one exercise. Well, they're going to do something. It's going to hurt. And then they're going to do that thing. And then immediately afterwards, it's going to be better. If it's not better, let's just say it makes no change, like the decompression example. What evidence do I have to believe that it'll work somehow in the future? It didn't make you any better right now. Oh, please keep multiplying, keep doing that thing which didn't work for me. That decompression table didn't work. Well, one day it will work. That exercise didn't work right now. I feel no better, but maybe one day it'll work. That light bulb that was just replaced, it doesn't work right now, but don't worry. In 2 weeks, it'll come on. I promise. It'll just light up magically. A ghost will flip the switch. It doesn't work that way. And look, I'm not saying I know everything about this, right? There's so much you just don't know. But logic would tell us that if something doesn't work immediately in the moment, we have nothing to go off of. We have no belief to stand on to suggest that that thing which didn't work in the moment will somehow, in some way, make you better in the future. So again, if you're seeing someone who says, hey, it's going to take 3 months to work, you've really got to question that, especially if it doesn't work immediately. And so I think the nugget to be had from all of this is that it doesn't take time for treatment to work. It doesn't take time for treatment to work. It takes time to find the right treatment. And so look, if you're going to someone and they test something and it doesn't work, in my experience, I'm testing another thing immediately. If that doesn't work, another thing, another thing, another thing. And we keep testing until we find something that makes an immediate improvement, and then we can stick with that. That might not happen on day 1, it might not happen on day 2, it might not happen on day 10. If you know that the person is constantly testing new variables and doing so systematically, then that's a person who you know is able to determine and or separate the treatment effect from the time effect. If somebody's sticking with one treatment intervention, if you're locking yourself into decompression or doing press-ups for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, because that's the approach, the McGill approach. It doesn't work day 1, but you know what? Maybe one day it will. You're locking yourself into that singular mode of treatment or means of treatment. And it doesn't work day 1. 0% better. Then basic math would say, you can keep doing it for as long as you want, and it's not going to work. And if it does work, that's what you'll probably say. That's what the practitioner will say. See, it eventually worked. It didn't work in the beginning, but now it did work. Is living in fairyland, right? Because it didn't work. Something that doesn't work, a light bulb that doesn't work now, won't work in the future. A treatment that didn't work now, in what way will it work in the future? What evidence do you have to believe that it'll somehow start working down the line? You have none. And so if that thing eventually works after 16 visits, 20 visits, 30 visits, 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, the thing that worked, wasn't the treatment. It was time. And you probably never needed that treatment to begin with. All right, so be super savvy. Ask your providers, how do we know this is going to work if it didn't work right now? If that light bulb didn't turn on right now, what makes you think it's going to turn on tomorrow? And watch the confused face. Watch them scratch their head. Because it defies all logic. It defies basic math and reasoning. If something doesn't work in the moment, then that treatment doesn't work. And you have no reason to believe that it will. This is for anybody out there who's wondering and or questioning whether or not time or the treatment is relieving their pain. And so I challenge you again to ask critical questions, to really demand results and immediate changes with whatever treatment that you choose. Hopefully it saves you a lot of time, energy, and yes, some money. Because again, it's possible what you're doing right now, if you've been led to believe that it didn't work, but this approach will eventually work, well, hopefully you can just put an end to it now. Or you can give whoever you're working with feedback, right? And they can start to iterate and test new strategies along the way. That's all I got. Let me know, was this helpful? Was this not helpful? Let me know your thoughts below. Have you been sold on this will work eventually? And maybe you've gotten better from something, a treatment that you've stuck with for many, many months or years. And you think that the treatment is what solved the problem. But was it really? Or was it just time? And how is who you're working with able to answer the question of how do I know if it's just time getting me better or the treatment effect? Something to think about. Thanks so much for watching.